What is up, guys? Today it's a serious video. Today I'm going to talk about how I've come to be where I am today. You know, what I've been through, how I've overcome suicide, drug addiction, homelessness, heroin addiction, alcoholism, and I'm going to tell you how I ended up where I am today, and just like show you it's never too late. Doesn't matter how far you've fallen, there is a way out. And I say this like with example because I've been there and I've done it. But before I start, I just want to say thank you to anyone who watches, anybody who subscribes, anybody who watches the dark side videos. You know, I do them just for a laugh. You know, it's never mean or nasty. And I did notice that JDP did a video back, and it wasn't really about me. Well, it was, but it was kind of just like, you know, defended himself. And listen, it was an alright video, you know, I enjoyed it. But that's what I do. I motivate people, you know, I inspire people. I take people who aren't that interesting and make them interesting. Even if it was only for like 10 minutes or however long his video was. I took the most boring man on YouTube and made him interesting for like 10 minutes. So, you're welcome. But anyway, today, all jokes aside, today is a serious video, you know. I will be doing another dark side video next Sunday. I don't know who about. We'll see who's the flavour of the month or the week. So, this channel, it got built on pain and misery and suffering. And, you know, it came from a very dark place. Because I was at a point in my life where I'd had enough. You know, I couldn't take it anymore. I was fed up with waking up in a miserable world of addiction. You know, I was an alcoholic. I was massively overweight. I was on Valium, Xanax, pregabalin, gabapentin. I was smoking crack every single day, and I'd hit a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. People were taking photos of me struggling in the street. I could barely walk because I was so fat, and it pushed me over the edge. So my plan was, I'm just gonna end it. You know, I didn't want to die, but I can't take this anymore. You know, it's too much. Day in, day out, I used to wake up, and I wished I hadn't. And I just used to cry, and I was in a horrible, terrible state. And my plan was, I was gonna buy a bottle. Well, I did. I bought a bottle of vodka, or probably stole it. I can't remember. And I bought a load of morphine and a load of paracetamol, and I was gonna drink the vodka. And I was going to numb all my body with the morphine, and then I was going to take the paracetamol and just drift into nothingness. And that was my plan. And I'd made peace with death. You know, I knew I was ready. I was ready to go. And I tell you, with that, every fibre of my being, I was ready to go. And I drank the vodka, but the mistake I made, I drank it too fast. You know, and I was so drunk because the thinking was the faster I drink it, the more, you know, the more caned I'll be, and then I won't bottle out of it. So I drank it really fast, got the courage up as I started taking the morphine, but I couldn't see, you know. I was like, you know, when you're really drunk and you have to shut one eye to focus, and I was popping the tablets that was falling on the floor, and I was trying to pick it up, face planting in the floor, and by the time I'd gone all out, you know, it'd been like an hour past, so they'd started kicking in, so I was absolutely mullered. And by the time I started getting the paracetamol out, I could barely even crack them open. I had about 5, and then I just collapsed on the floor. I woke up the next morning, and it was like a scene from Trainspotting or, you know, some crazy film. And I woke up covered in sick, and I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. I remember sitting at the end of my bed, and I don't know who I was talking to, but I just looked. I says, "Look, what do you want from me?" I was frustrated. I was devastated. I says, "What do you want from me? I can't. You won't let me live. You won't let me die. What am I supposed to do?" You know, And I remember I went into the bathroom. I looked in the mirror, and there was this big, fat, horrible ogre looking back, and I just thought, well, you know, how am I going to get out of this? I'm too far gone. Even if I get off the alcohol, I've still got the crack, the Valium, the Xanax, the pregabalin. And even if I stop alcohol and crack, you know, I've still got all these. And even if I get off all them, I've still got to lose all this weight. I thought, I can't do it. I'm stuck. But then a little part of me said, but what if? What if you can turn this around? What if you can get clean from all these drugs and lose all this weight? I never thought I'd do it. I really never. But what if? And that's when the little seed got planted, I thought, well, if I can turn all this around, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and I'm going to show people what it's like. I'm going to show people, and I'm not going to just show the good bits. I'm not going to show the bits what make me look good or cool. I'm going to show everything. Everything, even if it looks me bad, even if it makes me embarrassed, ashamed, I'm just going to show everything, and I can be, if I can turn all this around, I can inspire others and I can show other people. But I never really thought I could do it. And I thought, right, after this, that's when the seed got planted. I thought, right, well, I'm dying anyway. If I hadn't stopped when I did, I would be dead now, I know that. Because I could barely even walk, I was in a terrible state. If anybody saw me back then, they'll tell you I was gone. No one wanted to be near me. People were making fun of me. I was in a terrible state. And I thought, well, I'm dying anyway, so I might as well just quit cold turkey and just go down fighting, because you're not supposed to quit alcohol because you can die. You're not supposed to quit Valium because you can die. So, I thought, well, I'm dying anyway, so I might as well go down fighting. So I made a time, I said, right, no matter what, I'm going to go through it, because I'm at that point now. There's no turning back. However miserable, however hurtful, however bad it gets, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to fight, and I'm going to get through it, and I'm going to beat these demons what I've had for so long, because I've had enough. And that's what I did. I stopped everything cold turkey, which is very dangerous. You should taper down and go to rehab and do it properly, do one at a time. But I didn't have time. I was dying. So I stopped it all, dead. And I can't tell you in words how bad it was. And I don't want to put anybody else off doing it, because it was so bad. But I did it wrong. But I need to tell you what it's like, what I had to go through. And to be honest, the first night wasn't that bad, because I didn't know that Valium's long acting, So the first night I struggled to sleep. I felt a bit ropey, but then I got up the next morning. I thought, wow, this is not bad. All this worrying, all this stressing, this is not bad, this. Boy, was I wrong. I was fucking wrong. By dinner time, that's when it started kicking in, stomachache, headache, feeling sick, and then by 12 o'clock midnight, I was in full-blown detox. Horrible detox. And it's horrible because you can't sleep. That's the worst part, is you can't sleep. So you're suffering all day and you're suffering all night as well. So it's like twice as long. You can't eat, so your body's not getting rest and nutrition and food, so it's horrible. You're stuck in the middle. You can't sit still, you can't watch telly, you can't concentrate, and because you're not sleeping or eating, all your senses get heightened. You're dehydrated like when you've got a hangover. So you can feel everything twice as bad. I remember the first night, for me, I was up, and nobody has ever cooked garlic in this house before. This fucking one night when I'm ill as out, they cooked garlic, and I was like, oh. So then I started puking. It was so bad. I was hallucinating, vicious, horrible things from prison, my time in prison, getting stabbed in these hallucinations. I thought Freddy Krueger was coming. It was horrible. And this is just the first night, I've got weeks, months of this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick it out. And I remember, it was the second or third night, I'd been up for 3 days. I had, what's it called, where you shiver from alcohol, palpitations or tremors. I had tremors, so I couldn't even pick a cup up because it would just spill all over me. I was in a terrible state. I was in the limbo, I couldn't relax, but you can't keep still. You're twitching. Oh, man, it was bad. And and it was the third night, and I remember Forrest Gump was on the TV. I wasn't watching it, but it was on, and I was on my bed. I was miserable, and I've got to be honest. If I'd have had the energy to go and score, I would have done. I wouldn't have been able to anyway, because if I'd have ate out, I'd have just puked it straight back up. If I'd have had a beer, I'd have just puked it straight back up. But I didn't have the energy to go and score, so I just sat it out. And Forrest Gump was on the TV, and I remember thinking at that point, this is it. No one could feel any worse than this. I can't even explain how bad it was. It was like every fibre of my being was just screaming out in pain. It was horrible. In a good way is being feeling uncomfortable in your own skin. That's what it felt like, but I was so ill as well. And I remember thinking, this is it. The next step from this is death. Nobody in this world can feel as bad as this at this point. This is it. This is the worst. But I can take it. I'm miserable. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I'm ill. But I can take it. And I got a tiny little bit of peace from that, And that's why you'll hear me talking about fighting men, It's easy to go out and beat some crackhead up on the street. It's easy to have a fight with some small dude. This is true fighting when you're sat in a room and every part of your body's screaming at you to go out and score. And you don't. You just keep with it, you keep fighting, you keep going. That's true fighting, overcoming adversity. And I got through it. I remember it was like 3 weeks. It felt like 3 weeks, it probably wasn't. But I went and I fell asleep. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden I looked at the clock and it was like 1:30. I'm like, wow, I've just had half an hour's sleep, and that was, I'll tell you, it was beautiful. Even though I didn't feel it, I thought, that's it. That's the first step to success. That's the first step to getting ready, to getting clean, is when you can sleep on your own. It was only half an hour, but that was the first step. And then I was bad for months. I didn't even leave the house for months, and then once you do get clean, you've got all this trauma, from the addiction. I suffer with anxiety now, depression. I get waves of depression, and you have to live with all the shame, the embarrassment of all the people that you've stolen off, and it's horrible. It really is. It is just horrible, and you have to deal with all this now whilst you're sober. But I did what I said I was going to do. I've made a YouTube channel. I get quite a good response. People want to see me do well, and I appreciate that. And I think the reason for that is because, like when I make a video, you don't see what it's took me to get to this point where I can make this video. You haven't seen the years of being homeless. You haven't seen the years waking up in doorways and living in crack dens and, prison, years in prison. All that has brought me to this point. So every time I make a video, that's what you get. You don't get just some dude in front of a camera. You get all the pain, all the misery, all the struggles, all the suffering. I put all that into every video I do. And people can see that. They can relate to that. They can say, yeah, if I say something, they know it's true because they can see it. They can see it in me. They can see the pain. They can see the suffering, but also they can see sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's shocking, but it's real. And I think that's what people see when I do videos. They can see that I'm real. And I think that's why I get good subscribers, I get good views, because it's real. And it's took years of suffering and pain and misery to get me to this point. So you don't just get a guy in front of a camera, you get someone who's been through some shit. And I was very ashamed and embarrassed of my life for a long time, And I would always hide that I've been to prison. I was always hide away from the addiction, and just say, no, I don't. Until one day I saw a post. I can't remember if it was Instagram or Facebook. And it said, never be ashamed of what you've been through. Be proud of what you've overcome. So that's how I live my life now. I'm proud of overcoming homelessness. And people say, crackhead. Well, yeah, I was a crackhead, but doesn't that just make me even more awesome that I've overcome that? That's what true fighting is, overcoming adversity. I'd love to see some of these tough guys going through that and coming out the other side, making jokes, doing dark side videos. But yeah, anyway, that's what's brought me to today, and I just wanted to talk about it. And if anybody out there is struggling, you know, you might think, oh, I'm too far gone, you know, I'm too fat, I'm on too many drugs. But you can't be any worse than I was. No way. And I'm no one special. I'm not a tough guy, you know. I'm just a normal dude. And if I can do it, then you can do it. And I say that with passion and authority because I've been there. I know what it's like sleeping in abandoned buildings, you know. I know what it's like spending years in prison. I know what it's like seeing people get slashed with razor blades. I know what it's like for people to shoo you away because they don't want to be around you. And I understand it as well. But now, I get people coming to shake my hand, you know. Not every day, but I'd say, well, every time I go out, somebody recognises me. I say, oh, you're from YouTube? Like, yeah. And they just want to shake my hand. And just want to say, oh, I love watching your videos. And that's worth, to me, more than any money in the world, you know. That means everything. But anyway, that's the video for today. If you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Nerf the pop.